Federal lawmakers have strong words for the presidency over the return of controversial figure Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina. I'm Linda Akibe, and you're welcome to the Gavel. The news of the return and reinstatement of the former chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Pension Reform, Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina, has infuriated federal lawmakers in the National Assembly. In the Senate, lawmakers described the development as a shocker, and some believe some senior government officials are complicit in the matter. Now, for lawmakers in the House of Representatives, only an investigation will provide answers to the many questions which the matter has thrown up. It was a matter which took the nation by storm. The return and reinstatement of the fugitive Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina. An investigative report from the Aloysius Etuk Committee in the 7th Assembly had accused the former chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Pension Fund, Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina, of embezzling pension funds. The 7th Assembly had issued arrest warrants on Mr. Maina in a bid to get him to appear before the Senate panel to respond to the allegations of misappropriating pension funds. The EFCC subsequently declared him wanted, and he has been at large.
Somebody who has been declared wanted.
The reappearance and reinstatement of Mr. Maina into the service is a shocker for these lawmakers who feel it is a slap on their faces.
Then I think it's a big embarrassment for this government. So we need the Senate, I think, to investigate this matter and find out how did the person come back. How is it that security men are attached to him, nobody arrested him, somebody that is still on wanted list by the EFCC and now given a position of director.
For me, as a member of the APC, it's a sad moment. We cannot be saying we want to fight corruption, and then we allow this kind of, the more you look, the less you see. What is sure is that certain people in the executive have determined to make this president fail.
This man is a civil servant. We also need to invite, because if we want to indict somebody, we must be sure of what we're doing. We must invite this man, the Attorney General, to the plenary to tell the whole Nigerians. Because the problem we have here is that every small thing, people will go back, and it becomes a party thing, the party will go and overnight and close it. And Nigerians don't know what is happening. So I think this issue must be brought to the public domain for people to know actually what happened. If possible, the head of service should also be invited to know, because this man is a director in the civil service. We must be bring to them to tell the whole Nigerians what happened. How did this man be able to come back to office?
We believe that as a Senate, Mr. President, this action must be handled with the strictest of hand. We are not going to wait for the executive to investigate. We, as a Senate, being the consciousness of the people of this country, as a true representation of the people of Nigeria, must investigate and bring to book any culprit that tries to undermine this country, Mr. President. If the Attorney General, like Atai has said, this is the same Attorney General who also wrote a legal opinion to INEC when he knows that a case that was decided by a court of first instance will go through to the Supreme Court, and even wrote to the Senate on my own matter. So one begins to wonder, are some people above the law? But be that as it may, Mr. President, this Senate must take this matter to a logical conclusion and make appropriate recommendations for whosoever will be found culprit.
Maina is too small to just wake up and just resume office as a director. Somebody gave the directive to make Maina go to the office. Minister of Interior said that he has no power to return Maina, that somebody else is responsible for returning Maina. Mr. President, the person who returned Maina, as we were told, is the Attorney General of the Federation. This is not the first time the Attorney General is doing something like this. Only recently, the Attorney General wrote his opinion to INEC that certificate of return should be withdrawn from me and given to somebody else. He wrote it. I have a copy of the letter. The Attorney General keep writing all sorts of letters as if there's no rule of law in this country.
The matter was also brought up in the House of Representatives, where there was a passionate debate from lawmakers. They called for an immediate investigation into what they describe as an affront to the fight against corruption.
During the campaigns, Maina case was used as a case study to portray that Goodluck Jonathan administration was corrupt. And that when APC comes into government, the president is going to fight it in a grand style. But Mr. Speaker, what are you saying to me? There are too many questions begging for answer. Where has Mr. Maina been all this while? Where did he emerge from? Who kept him until he was recalled and elevated?
Mr. Speaker, my hope personally is dying. And a lot of Nigerians' hopes are dying. Is this how we are going to continue? Where people will still, they are not reprimanded, they are even engaged and even promoted. It means we are celebrating corruption.
This is a monumental, we cannot emphasize it enough, an unprecedented embarrassment to this country and to the National Assembly. We cannot be further embarrassed. So I want to categorically state that we cannot trust this executive, unfortunately, to do due diligence and justice to this issue. We still have the pending issue of the, I don't know whether to call him former or currently suspended Secretary to the federal government. The case has still not been adequately addressed by the current administration. We have other issues of a certain Saleh, who is now even the secretary or so to the National Judicial Commission, who was also alleged of a 2-point-something billion fraud under this administration. We're still sitting under such cases. So I think we need to rise up to our responsibility as Nigerians.
Both chambers made several resolutions. Both houses set up ad hoc committees to investigate the matter and recommend strong sanctions against those found culpable. The House is also urging the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to immediately arrest Mr. Maina for subsequent prosecution. An ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives has commenced an investigative hearing into the safety of soft drinks and other carbonated beverages consumed in the country. Now, at the opening of the investigative hearing, members of the committee engaged officials of a national agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, over alleged high content of harmful substances in the drinks.
It is the first sitting of a House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating the safety of soft drinks and other carbonated beverages consumed in the country. Representatives from government consumer regulatory agencies and the private sector are participating in this public hearing. The chairman of the committee gives a background to the investigation.
A case instituted by a consumer, Fijabi, I believe is the name, due to an experience he had in the United Kingdom where the products he exported for use in the United Kingdom was certified as unsafe for human consumption.
An official of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, gives an overview of the composition of carbonated drinks.
It's not only peculiar to the products of Nigerian Bottling Company. Other soft drink manufacturers also have products that could contain benzoic acid or, in addition with it, ascorbic acid. They serve as preservatives against yeast, mold, bacteria. They're there to ensure the safety and the quality of the products that have been produced.
She then outlines the set acceptable levels in Nigeria.
If it contains ascorbic acid, it's 250 milligrams per kilogram. However, if it doesn't have ascorbic acid, it's 300 milligrams per kilogram.
The lawmakers then seek clarifications from the official.
we've listed 4
countries,
tropical countries where the standard range from 100 to 150.
Okay, sir.
Doesn't that not knock the bottom of your argument that the reason why Nigeria is 250 is because essentially we're in a tropical country?
Based on the case, the Future B case, is looking at if there's a possibility to have an alternative.
Right.
It's looking at if there's a possibility to reduce the preservatives in the drinks. So it's actually we have been analyzing all the products all over the
so that's
Nigeria.
going on.
So it's
when will that conclude?
Soon.
The committee is to meet with other agencies of government and representatives of some of the bottling companies in the country before submitting their report to the House. This is an investigative hearing which is of extreme importance to Nigerians, as a large population in the country consume a huge number of soft and carbonated drinks daily, and there is a concern about the impact of these drinks on the health and well-being of Nigerians.